Hello, welcome back to the Fulbright Roadmap, and today we are talking about Fulbright Alternatives, 10 pathways to living and studying abroad if for whatever reason you don't get a Fulbright grant or if you just want to explore some different ways to live and study abroad. As I've mentioned in previous videos, my name is Leah Rogstad, and I was a Fulbright Spain study grantee during the 21-22 cycle. And that was actually my second time applying. So I investigated and kind of researched all of these different pathways between my two cycles of applying because it was always my dream to live and study abroad. And luckily, there are a ton of ways to have experiences that are quite similar to Fulbright, really, with studying, living, working abroad that are accessible whether or not you have a Fulbright grant. So I like to always remind people of that because the Fulbright grant, as much as it is about choosing the right grant program, writing the best statement, there are always more applicants than there are available grants, and you shouldn't let Fulbright be the reason that you don't live and study abroad if that is your dream. So this is all in my Fulbright Roadmap guide, which is a 7-step guide to planning, writing, and revising your best Fulbright application. If you're at the end of that process and you did not receive a Fulbright grant, then these are different ways to explore. So let's look at what is in this roadmap guide. So to start off, these are my probably the easiest way to become or to live abroad is to become an English language assistant or a teacher abroad for the school year. There are lots of different options. So for example, in Spain, there's something called auxiliares de conversación, where you are a Spanish language or an English language teaching assistant for about 9 to 10 months. You only work about 12 hours a week and you make about I think 700 to 800 euros a month, which is just about enough to live on in a lot of parts of Spain. There's a similar program in France called TAPIV. Japan has a program called the JET program, and then Colombia has a teaching English program run by the government. Chile has an English Open Doors program, and there are also a ton of opportunities if you're a certified teacher or even a teacher with your master's. There are a ton of international schools in every country where you could work teaching your subject abroad. Another option is to do research or obtain a degree abroad. Of course, Fulbright has degree granting grant programs. Great if you get one of those, but there are a lot of ways to move abroad and even be funded and get your graduate degree. One of my favorite is Erasmus Master's Grants, which are 2 years master's programs run by the European Union, and they occur in several different countries. So you actually move around Europe and in many of the grants in different continents as well for 2 years, and they have all sorts of different topics that might be of interest to you, and they do have several spots that are fully funded. So depending on where you're from, that might be a great option. And also a lot of master's and PhD programs might have funding, but also they're often a lot less in tuition and just cost in general than in the US. So that's a great opportunity to look at if you want to get your master's or PhD abroad for a lot less money. Of course, check that it is going to transfer back to the US because depending on the type of program, that might be a little different. Number 3, work abroad as a digital nomad. Both Spain and Portugal have digital nomad visas right now that allow you, if you can prove that you have a full-time job, let's say in the United States, that it's remote, you can live in Spain or Portugal for a year or sometimes more and have a visa to live there and do that. There are also year-long working holiday visas, which are available in countries like Australia, Ireland, Singapore, New Zealand, Canada, and South Korea. There are often age limits on this and tax rules, so make sure to do your investigations. But this is a great way to live abroad, make money. You can actually save a lot of money. I've heard it in Australia because the salaries are pretty high. And then there are a lot of other work exchanges as well. So some things to look at are workaway.com, backdoorjobs.com, woofing, which is organic farming around the world. And then last but not least, I would mention short-term paid experiences. So for example, I have worked for an international travel country over the summers where I lead high school trips abroad. And that has allowed me to see 4 different countries of the world, get to go on tons of amazing cultural exchange programs, and also get paid a little bit for that. And of course, there are also other fellowships that you can check out, like Watson Critical Language. So hope that helps. Keep going.